recording.
Okay. So, proposition. So this proposition is about a semi-simple tensor category and some isomorphism between two simple objects, V and V double star. And we will prove that the trace, the left and right trace in that case of A is never zero. So this will be applied to prove that in this case, the dimension cannot be zero. So let C be a semi-simple tensor category. Let me put this here. Semi-simple tensor category. And you take, so over a field K, algebraic closed, let you take a simple object V and and you consider some isomorphism. This is not associativity constraint here. It's some isomorphism. Of course, we will apply that for the associativity constraint, but here it's just some isomorphism. Not the associativity constraint, the pivotal structure. It's not a pivotal structure. It's some isomorphism. Then, so the right trace of A and the left trace of A, as defined before, is non-zero. In particular, when A is a pivotal structure, then the dimension of V is never zero, cannot be zero. Okay, so proof. So first recall that the left, so we will prove it for the left trace and the right trace will be the same. So the left trace is this composition. So you start from 1, you apply coevaluation V tensor V star. Hey, now you apply the isomorphism A on the first component and identity of V star. So you get V double star tensor V. And then you apply the evaluation map of V star and you come back to 1. So, in fact, you can see the left trace of A as this composition. So you start from 1 and you apply something which is non-zero. You go to V tensor V star and you apply again something which is non-zero. By non-zero, I mean non-zero morphism. And you go to 1. So it's a composition of two non-zero morphisms. So it can be seen as the composition of two non-zero morphisms. Okay, then so now we can prove by contradiction. Let us make a proof by contradiction. If this composition is 0. In other words, if the left trace of A is 0. Then so what we have, so how should I say? So you have, so you see here, so let me write like that. So here you have a non-zero morphism, and one, so it's a tensor category. So one is a simple object. So you have one is a simple object. So you have one as a one must be a component of V tensor V star in its Jordan order decomposition. You have the Jordan order filtration, and one of the simple quotient must be one. And here, one of the other of one by Schur lemma, one of the quotient in the Schur Jordan order filtration should also be one, and it is not the same. So in other words, you have with the notation, you have at least two like that. You have at least two different components isomorphic to one. Yeah, because the composition is zero. Because the composition is zero, the two object one above must be a different component of V tensor V star. Si Jordan order filtration. So you have that. And I put component between, I wrote component because they are not really component. They are component in the Grothendieck ring, but not in the category because it's not necessarily semi-simple. Oh, it is semi-simple. Yeah, so it's, yeah. So no, in fact, no. I will need to get that later. So I need to get that without assuming semi-simple, because in later I will provide a counterexample, and I need that non-semi-simple counterexample. And so in fact, we don't need. So I will note a remark. We don't need semi-simple for this inequality. This is important because we will use it. We will use it for giving for a counterexample later. For a counterexample later. Soon, in fact. Okay. So we have this inequality without using the semi-simple assumption. So as I said, it is not a component because I don't assume semi-simple just for this inequality. So it's a component in the Grothendieck ring, but not in the category. That's why I wrote component like that. Okay. So let us make a proof if this composition is 0, then then the two object one above must be different component, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So now we can so we have this inequality we will use later without assuming semi-simple. Now we can apply semi-simple. Next, by semi-simple assumption. So now by semi-simple assumption, we can say that one is really a component in the category. So it's a direct sum. So V tensor V star contain 1 plus 1 in its direct sum decomposition. So in particular, the dimension of that is greater than or equal to 2. Because we have two components isomorphic to 1. Okay, so next. So we're almost done. So now we can apply the natural high junction isomorphism to put this V star here. And you will see the contradiction because V is a simple object. V is a simple object. And by Schur lemma, yeah, you see. So then by natural high junction isomorphism, dim k of om c v greater than or equal to 2, contradiction with V simple by Schur's lemma. By Schur's lemma, the morphism between V and V must be that the Hom space is one-dimensional. It's such a morphism is identity or 0. So okay, up to a multiplicative constant. So it's okay. And you have the same for the right trace. So we are done. So we proved that such right and left trace are non-zero on the isomorphism between a simple object and its double dual. Okay. So now we can provide the counterexample I mentioned without semi-simple. So this proposition is false without semi-simple assumption. For example, take the category of representation over the field K of the group of invertible matrix P cross P matrix over K, with K the finite field of prime order. Finite field of prime order. Then you take the simple object V to be this representation. So the usual representation, just the canonical representation here, K power P, the usual representation of GLPK. By usual, I mean GLPK is already a group of matrices. So you just take this representation. And so this is an irreducible representation. Irreducible representation of GL of this group. An irreducible representation means this means simple object of dimension P, but P is equal to 0 over the field, because finite field. Okay, so we have this. So you have something. So this category is not semi-simple, and you have something of dimension 0. So if you take any isomorphism between V and V double star, you have something. You have a. You can. So you have some. You cannot prove that. You don't have that. It is 0 in this case. So it's okay. And I will mention also that there also exists a counterexample on characteristic 0. There also exists such counterexample over the complex. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we are done now about pivotal structure and spherical structure. And now we will provide some additional property about the Grothendieck ring in the semi-simple case. Okay. So new section. So I will change the page. It will be more relevant. So Grothendieck ring of semi-simple tensor category. Okay. Grothendieck rings of semi-simple tensor categories. Okay. So we already talked about Grothendieck ring, and we already defined the notion of Z plus ring. The notion of unital Z plus ring. So it's a ring with a fixed basis, such that every element of the ring decomposes as the sum of this element of the basis with a coefficient in a Z plus. So we now, it's a Z module, etc. So we now we will define a new notion, a notion of a based ring. So it's a Z plus ring with some additional assumption. So we now need to define notion of unital based ring. And this is this new structure what we will win in the semi-simple case. So to define what is a based ring, we need, so the base ring A, we need to introduce a group homomorphism between A, so the ring with the additional, the group structure with the plus, and the integer. So a group homomorphism called tau. So you take A to be a Z plus ring with the basis like that, EI, I, and you consider a subset to a subset of I. So B, the set of I in I, corresponding to the decomposition of the unit. So such that AI is different from 0 in the decomposition of the unit. And we will define a group homomorphism related to this subset I0. So from I to Z, group homomorphism as follow, define such that on the basis it is 1 if I is in this subset and 0 otherwise. So this tau is in some sense is detect whether an element of the basis is correspond to is in the decomposition of the unit. You have that. So we need this tool to define what is a base ring. The definition. So a Z plus ring A with basis BI is called a based ring is called a based ring. Based ring. Based ring. If there exists an involution on the set I. So an involution, this means that if you apply it 2 times, it is the identity. So involution means I star star equal such that this morphism, this induced morphism, sum of AI BI star, where AI, so AI are integer, where AI are integer, is an anti-involution. So anti-involution is for anti-homomorphism and involution as above. Anti-evolution of the ring A. So what I mean by anti-evolution So for involution, you have that. And for anti, you have that. So this permute A B star is B star A star. So this for involution, and this is for anti-homomorphism. Okay, so yeah. So you have that, and another assumption you need to be a base ring. So you just here so you fix, you have an involution. So what is an involution here? I, it's a bijection of I of order 2, or at most 2, 1 or 2. And satisfying that, this anti-involution assumption, and we have an assumption on the morphism tau. So, and we have tau of Bi Bj, which is equal to 1 if I is equal to J star, so it's related to the involution, and 0 otherwise. So, so this tau, when you apply it to a product of two elements of the basis, detect whether they are dual to each other, according to this involution. Involution. Okay. Okay, so it's a based ring, and of course, so I will need to prove some basic lemma about based ring, but at the end, we will prove that a semi-simple multifusion category, for a semi-simple multifusion category, the Grothendieck ring is a based ring. So when you assume semi-simple, you win this base ring structure. Otherwise, it's just a Z plus ring. Okay. But we will need to prove some lemma about base ring first. Okay. So let us prove some basic lemma about base ring. So I want to note here that what I will provide, so by basic result, not just lemma, but some basic result. So I want to mention that what I will provide here, it's an augmentation of what you can find in the book. So I provide more material here than one you provide in the book on section 3.1. So not that. We will provide we just augment. We will augment the section 3.1 of the book. So we simplified proof. plus extra result. Okay. So first proposition, so which is really fundamental when you talk about multi-fusion, multi-tensor category. So the involution star is stable on the subset corresponding to the component of the unit. So stable means that if I is in I0, then so just that I star is also in I0, and in fact the unit is exactly the sum over I0 of the element of the basis. All the coefficients are 1 over I on the set of index I in I0 and 0 otherwise. So it's a okay. So the proof will be very easy. And in fact, what is funny here is in fact in the book that tried to prove that directly. And the proof was not that much convenient for me. In fact, it's good to prove that first. And when you prove that, then you directly get this property. So it's better to prove this stability first. So first, by definition, so Bi star is Bi star. So it's just the definition of what is the star induced to the ring. Where is it? It's here. So you put from A to S star, and this is just, you put the star here. So if A is Bi, so Bi star is Bi star, as I said. So it's the definition. So we have that. Okay. Then, so next, so take an element is this subset I0. Then, so you have one, which is tau of Bi, because I is in I0, as it is written here by definition of tau. Tau on the basis is 1 if I is in I0 and 0 otherwise. So 1 is that. And this is just, you can multiply by 1 inside. 1 is a unit, so this does not change anything. And it is tau. So 1 is the sum. So you take the decomposition of 1. I in I0. You have the decomposition of 1. So this is equal to 1. And you have the Bj. So you develop, and tau is a ring homomorphism, so you can it's linear, and it's additive. So I in I0, tau of Bi Bj. Okay. Yeah. So now, so I'm asking whether you need AI to be positive. Or tau is just defined as a ring homomorphism, so it's not just additive, but you can. It's the morphism of Z module. But anyway, let's see. So where I am, I lost my. So now, because it's a based ring, you can apply this assumption here. And this is 1 if I equal J star and 0 otherwise. So you can restrict. So in fact, this is equal to 0 if J star is not in I0. So you take a sum over all the I in I0. And we want I equal J star. So if there is no J star, so everything is 0. And it is equal to I J star else. And it just it's 1 or 0 component of the sum. You cannot have more. Because yeah, it's an involution. So in particular, it's a bijection. So we are almost done. But it is 1. So we have 1 equal 0, so contradiction. So it must be this case. But it must be 1. It must be 1. So it must be the second case. So second case means J star. So I make a mistake here. If J star is not in I0, sorry, and else mean J star is in I0. So J star is in I0. As I said, I0 is stable by the involution. And you have A J star is equal to 1. And so it's an involution. So you have, this is just a sum of BI like that. We are done. Okay. And here, so I want to put a question here. Should we assume AI positive? So AI in because in the book they write a sentence. We can assume that AI are positive. So if in the book they wrote this sentence, this means that it's true. But I'm not sure we need to assume that. Or if tau is just a ring homomorphism, a Z module homomorphism. Anyway, does not matter. In any case, it's true. So, okay. So we are okay with this proposition. What I mean. So now we will prove 3 lemmas. I will have time to talk about the first lemma before the pause. Lemma 1. So tau, inside tau, you can that's commute. So tau is like a trace. So the proof is obvious. So it reduces to the basis element because it's everything can be decomposed in terms of basic element. But we already know the commutation for the basic element because by the definition of based ring, which is here. The fact that if I equal J star, then J equal I star, because it's an evolution. By definition, clear by definition of based ring, and so what did I say? I equal J star imply J equal I star, because star is in evolution. Okay, so it's okay. It's okay. Okay. So next lemma. How the tau deal with the star? In fact, it's very easy because it's a there are Z modules. There are no complex conjugate here. The A star is just tau of A star is just tau. In fact, it's a Z module here. It's a free finitely generated Z module, if you want. Free Z module. But if you tensorize by C, here, so usually, if you tensorize by C, then tau of A star is tau of A complex conjugate. But here, it's a Z module, so we don't need that. So this is lemma 2. So we make the pause. We'll prove that after the pause. So pause. Pause. Okay, so the proof of that. So you take A. So the decomposition of AI, BI. A star, by definition of star, is sum of AI, BI star. Now, tau of A is the sum of AI tau of BI, and it's equal to the sum for I in I0 of AI. Tau of A star is sum of AI of tau BI star, which is also equal to the sum for I in I0 of AI, because yeah, for the same reason as above, because star is bijection, yeah, is an evolution. So they are the same. Okay, so it's okay. So next lemma. So the definition. Consider a B let, not a linear form because it's not a vector space. You know how to say that. A, B, tau of B star A. Kind of. So lemma 3. AB equal BA. So proof. So here it's a definition of something we will use later. So proof. So BA is by definition tau of A star B, which is equal to by lemma 2. So, lemma 2, it's about putting star. So you can put star inside, and this is the same. So tau of A star B star. And it's equal because star is an anti-involution. Anti-involution on the ring. So this is equal to tau of B star A star star, but A, because A star star is A, which is AB. So that's okay. Okay, and now we can prove something a bit more deep, but not so deep, just a bit more. So we will call that a proposition and not a lemma. Proposition. So Bi Bj is equal to the sum of Bi Bj Bk Bk. So in other words, Nijk equal Bi Bj Bk like that. And we have also Nijk equal to Ni star J K equal N K J star I, which is what we call the Frobenius reciprocity. So in this framework, we can prove the Frobenius reciprocity. But in fact, in the definition of you can define a base ring otherwise assuming the Frobenius reciprocity. In fact, the Frobenius reciprocity here, as stated here, is equivalent to some other assumption used to define the base ring. So, okay. So proof. So that is really, really important. So you start from so Bi Bj decompose as some Al Bl. So you take the decomposition. Now Nijk like that. So Bi, Bj, Bk is equal to tau of Bk star Bi, Bj by definition. This is equal, so again, you apply the tau of Bk star Bl. And this is equal by definition to the Kronecker delta, Kronecker symbol. So it is 0 if k equal to L, and 1 if k, no, it's 1 if k equal L, and 0 if k different from L. So we need L to be k star. Now you need k equal, so wait, you need what? L equal k. We need L equal k, so this is just a k. There is no choice. So, so it's equal to Nijk. Yeah, if you want, AL is equal to NIGL. Okay, by definition of NIJK, it's just the coefficient of decomposition of BI/BJ. So we prove the first part. Now what about the second part? So next, tau of Bk star Bi Bj is equal to, so here, so it's equal to tau okay, so we will rewrite this part. So it's tau of, so you have Bj, it doesn't move, but we want to put some star here. So Bi star Bk. You see that this is equal to this. Okay, so, okay. So this is this Bj Bi star Bk by definition. And now you apply the lemma 3. So what's lemma 3? So you can, so this AB equal BA. So you can apply that here and you get that this is equal to Bi star Bk Bj. Okay. And this is exactly equal to Ni star Kj by what we proved just before. So we have Nijk. So where is Nijk? So Nijk. Nijk equal that. So this is equal to that. So I should put this on the top. Nijk. So we have Nijk equal Ni star Kj. So we prove the first equality of the Frobenius reciprocity, and the second one is the same. So similarly, Nijk equal Nkj star I. So we are done. We are done. Okay, so we are done about this proposition. So we reprove Frobenius reciprocity. So this proposition is really important because Frobenius reciprocity is fundamental. So now I wanted to mention what I said before, that we can provide an alternating definition directly from the Frobenius reciprocity. In fact, the fusion ring, in the definition of fusion ring, we use Frobenius reciprocity. So remark. A based ring, this is equivalent to Z plus ring plus Frobenius reciprocity. Reciprocity. Because we already proved that associativity is equivalent to have a matrix representation. Matrix representation and Frobenius reciprocity is equivalent to bi star equal bi star. So, etc. So now, definition. So I hope I'm not making a mistake here. In fact, I did not check too much the detail. It should be correct anyway. So maybe we can put this an exercise. Exercise. Show. And that the int. I want to put a small question mark because I did not check the details whether it is really true or not. So maybe I can just say check, not show. Then okay. So now the definition. So now we talked about based ring, but we are also mainly interested in a fusion ring. So what is a fusion ring? So first, a multi-fusion ring is a based ring of finite rank, which means the basis is finite, because this set is finite. And a fusion ring is a unital multifusion ring. So fusion ring is a unital based ring of finite rank. Okay. So we will provide a result about multifusion ring. So we will something we cannot prove on base ring because we need the finiteness. We will have some. We will have some sum. We will have an infinite sum if it is not a finite rank. So in fact, I am wondering whether we don't have some infinite sum before. In fact, a base ring is we don't assume finite rank for a base ring, but all these sum are in fact finite because this sum is the coefficients are non-zero, are zero except on a finite for finitely many. So there is no problem here. For example, here, all AI are zero except for finitely many. But here, we need that we cannot prove. Here, we will really have some infinite sum if we don't assume finite rank. So let A be a multi-fusion ring with basis BI, I is I. Then for all x in I, this object, this element, so you make the sum for I in I of BI x BI star. This is a central element in the ring A. And so we will prove that. We will prove it is central on the basis. It will be enough. Another word. It is enough to prove that bk(z) of x equal z of x bk for all k in I. So then it is just a direct computation. You compute, you develop the left hand side, and then you get the right hand side. So b k of z, bk zx is so bk sum of bi x bi star. So it is a sum of bk bi x bi star. It is a sum for ij. So now we will develop this. So it's the sum of n k I j, so sum of j over j, and bj, and then it remains bx bi star. This is equal, and here we will apply the Frobenius reciprocity. Frobenius reciprocity on this coefficient. So it's equal to n j star. So you apply 2 times. You need to apply the Frobenius reciprocity 2 times. And you get that 2 times. Applied 2 times. Okay. Okay, so same bjx bi star. Then this is equal to, so then you re-factorize according to this component. So this is equal to sum over j bj star, sorry, sum over I, and j star k I star bi star. And so you see that this is something known. This is equal to the sum of j bj star b. So why I am j star? It's not j star bx. So this is so you have bx. Sorry about that. So you have bx, and as I said, you factorize according to that and that. So you get that, and this is exactly bj star bk. You have that, and then you have bj star bk. And this is, so this is z of x bk. This is equal to zx bk. So we prove the commutation. So it's okay. So we proved. So we have some. You take any element in some multifusion ring. So a multifusion ring is not commutative in general, but from any element you can make a central element. And this procedure is quite usual in Lie theory, Lie algebra theory, I guess. I don't remember the name of that. But so now we can come back to. So now we can come back to category. Now we will prove the expected proposition. So in the semi-simple case, we have a base ring. And if you have a multi-fusion category, then it's a multi-fusion ring, etc. It's not the terminology, the notation was made just to make this proposition. So let's see be a semi-simple multi-tensor category. then the Grothendieck ring of C is a based ring. Then, if moreover C is tensor, not multitensor, but tensor, then the Grothendieck ring of C is unital. Finally, if C is a multi-fusion category, then the Grothendieck ring of C is a multi-fusion ring. Fusion ring. Okay. So we will not prove that in great details, but we will provide a sketch of proof. So, proof. So we already know that the Grothendieck ring of C is a Z plus ring. So we already proved that. Because C is multi-tensor, so multi-ring category. We proved that for multi-ring category. A multi-tensor implies multi-ring. So it's a Z plus ring. Okay, next. So the Z plus basis will be the isomorphism classes of simple object, as you can expect. Okay. No surprise. Next, we proved that the double dual of a simple object is the simple object itself is equivalent to or isomorphic to a simple object itself in the semi-simple case. I don't know in which case we prove that. Yeah, for semi-simple multi-tensor category. So we also already proved where is it? We also already proved that V is isomorphic to V double star on semi-simple multi-tensor category. So we have the involution we want. We have the involution on I. So the Z plus basis I is the isomorphism class of simple objects. Next, I0 is given by the simple subobject of the unit object, etc., etc. So we leave we leave the rest as an exercise. Okay. Okay. So now, so not that. Tau of B. I want to remark that because I will use that soon. So tau of sum of AI BI is the sum for I in I0, I in I of AI. In the unital case, when one is simple or one is in the basis, tau of B equal A1 correspond to that. If V correspond to B. What by this symbol I mean correspond to B. Okay, so next. So next, we can provide a counterexample for the previous proposition in the non-semi-simple case. So remark above proposition is false without assuming semi-simple. And here we will use what I said before. We need something, we prove something without assuming semi-simple for a proposition already assuming semi-simple. And this is for here. So where is it? Should be here. Yeah. Here we said we prove that without using semi-simple. And we will use this inequality now for this example, counterexample. So without assuming semi-simple, because we know example, no unital example, in fact, not just example, unital example where this tau A star bi bi star, so in the definition of Bayes ring, would be greater than 1. When I say would be, it's about this correspondence, in fact. So tau of bi star correspond to that v star 1 with the simple object. So yeah, so V correspond to here V correspond to BI. As here, V correspond to B. If V correspond to B. Same thing. So I say correspond to just for simplify the notation. I don't want to say so V correspond to BI for etc. Just yeah. It's a Grothendieck ring if you want. You can just write I don't know, BI equal to the class of V, etc. But anyway, does not matter. But we saw, as I said before, hey Bob, that dim k of V is equal to 0 imply that this is greater than or equal to 2. So I should write actually to not be confusing. Imply that. We prove that without assuming semi-simple. But we also provide an example. We provided an example. So then the example with rep k JLP k equal FP V equal P is also a counter example here. And I want to provide the easiest case, the easiest counterexample of this form. Here is the smallest counterexample of this form. So J take P equal to, then the order of GL2 FP is P square minus 1 finite group P. So you take P, when I say P equal to, is not for the field, but for GLP. So consider GLP, GL2. Consider GL2. Then you have that. Next, next, but GL2 FP is non-commutative and GL2 F2 is equal to 2 square minus 1, 2 square minus 2 equal to 6. So it's a non-commutative group of order 6. So it is a non-commutative group of order 6. And there is only one such group. So must be S3, the symmetric group S3. The symmetric group S3. So you have such counterexample S3 and with its two-dimensional irreducible representation. There is only one. It's only, oh, there is only one. Two-dimensional representation. Yeah. So this is a very concrete counterexample. You take the group S3, you take its two-dimensional irreducible representation. The field is the finite field with two elements. And that is the smallest counterexample of this form. So in this case, you don't have, it's not a base ring. It's not so simple, it's not a base ring. Okay. So we can stop here. We will stop here. So see you next time. We stop here.